Mike, happy Friday.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. All right, another day, another letter. They're wanting answers. Merrick Garland this week clamped down, won't talk about what's happening with Matthew Colangelo, the number 3 at the DOJ, goes to Bragg office. Clearly, that would be a demotion. Couple that with this. Let's put this up one more time. Jim Jordan now dealing with Jack Smith's team, talking about potential visits at the White House. I mean, I guess Americans are at this point knowing that this likely was all part of some type of plan, but the fact, the longer it goes on, the way the Biden DOJ stalls and stalls, transparency always seems to be one step away.
Yeah, President Biden's fingerprints are on all 4 of these unprecedented criminal indictments of a former president who happens to be President Biden's leading presidential rival. We had Jonathan Sue, President Biden's deputy White House counsel, colluding with Jay Bratz at the Justice Department and Gary Stern, the general counsel at the National Archives, to orchestrate the Mar-a-Lago raid under the guise of the Espionage Act for presidential records Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. That led to Jack Smith's indictment for espionage. Or not espionage in Florida, and for his indictment on January 6th in D.C. You had Matthew Colangelo, a senior Obama and Biden political appointee for the Obama Justice Department under Eric Holder and Tom Perez, the Obama Labor Department under then Secretary Tom Perez, the Obama White House. When Tom Perez went to the DNC, he was the lawfare guy for the Democrat Attorney General Matthew Colangelo for 4 years. He was on the parachute team. He was the acting number 3 in the Justice Department, a very senior political appointee. And then he went to Bragg's office, the Soros-funded Manhattan DA Bragg's office, with this corrupt Judge Juan Merchan, who illegally donated to Biden and whose adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is raising millions of dollars off this case, requiring Judge Merchan's recusal. And then you had Nathan Wade, Fannie Willis's big dumb boyfriend, actually being dumb enough to bill his time, 16 hours, to Fulton County taxpayers that got COVID funds for 2 meetings with the Biden White House, including the Biden White House counsel.
Right. Well, that case stopped in its tracks this week as her disqualification for that is now being put on hold. All those things you put out, though, and yet liberal media sits down with Joe Biden, gives him a softball, and this is what he says to ABC regarding Donald Trump's conviction here. Let's play this clip.
Stop undermining the rule of law. Stop undermining the institutions. That's what this whole effort is. All the MAGA Republicans are coming out saying this was a fix, this was a jury that this was a judge that set up to get Trump. There's no evidence of any of that. None. He's trying to undermine it. Look, he got a fair trial.
Can barely get through the sentence, too. I mean, not only are people not buying it, I mean, looking at the leader of the free world there, it's frightening.
Yeah, you have a Biden prosecutor going to a Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's office, Colangelo going to Bragg's office. They have a corrupt judge whose daughter's raising money off of this. They rigged the jury selection process. It's already 87% Biden voter. They further rigged that jury selection process by bouncing people who follow Trump on social media, but not Biden. They let these 2 witnesses come in, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, changed their story, gave highly irrelevant, unfairly prejudicial testimony, and then Colangelo, Bragg, and this judge didn't even instruct the jury correctly. Right. They didn't even have to unanimously agree to a crime. This was a rigged process.
They're going to, obviously, they're appealing. It's going to be, playing out in court. What do you think is going to happen in Hunter Biden's trial? They've got Naomi Biden right now on the stand. I'd love to get your thoughts on how they're going to try to put out the small violin here of Hunter's just, this sad crack addict. You can be both. You can be an addict and also break the law.
Yeah, nobody's above the law except for Joe Biden, James Biden, Hunter Biden. It seems like every Biden family member, every scumbag Biden got millions of dollars, over $20 million, according to House Oversight Chairman James Comer so far, that they've been able to track going from these foreign entities from China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Romania. Every trouble spot around the world has every Biden, it seems, almost every Biden, except for the 6-year-old granddaughter who they don't claim, on their payroll, right? So what were they selling, right? And so we have this gun charge by this Democrat-picked U.S. attorney, this sideshow that's not going to lead to anywhere. Hunter Biden's clearly guilty, but you have a jury up there in Delaware that's not going to find him guilty, right? So then what?
But that's everything what we're saying, and that's kind of where I wanted to, then when I kicked this off. They had referrals this week for James Biden, who's in the courtroom right now, and Hunter Biden for the influence peddling that you talked about. And they want to say, do something because he lied. They lied under oath to Congress. This is a very big deal in a normal world. But this is not a normal world, Mike. And Americans are getting more and more frustrated knowing and seeing that Congress will put these things together, but nothing ever seems to happen.
Yeah, so what needs to happen is that anger and frustration needs to be directed to getting out and voting for President Trump on November 5th, 2024, and then on January 20th, 2025, day one, when President Trump's in office, his acting attorney general should open a criminal probe. And I know that makes the left's heads explode, but it should be a criminal probe under 18 USC 241 and 242. This is an obvious criminal conspiracy by President Biden, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, Jack Smith, Jay Bratt, Alvin Bragg, Tish James, Nathan Wade, Juan Merchan, Lauren Merchan. There are so many, at a minimum, fact witnesses who can come in and testify to this obvious criminal conspiracy to violate the constitutional rights of President Trump, his top aides, and his allies.
But when you say that, then they say, oh, Donald Trump is trying to get retribution, and they try to say he's going to be, that's what his second term is about. But when you're just laying it out, it seems kind of just like justice and what you'd want to do. And I think your name's also been floated for that position as well, if you want to address that as well, Mike.
Well, I can't get confirmed to anything because if you just go look at any tweet on any given day, I'm probably too charming for Senate confirmation, as I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee. There are many good people like Jeff Clark, Mark Paoletta, who would be fantastic at the job of Attorney General. I think I want to be the viceroy because, so Media Matters is listening, so I'm not accountable to courts or Congress. That's more of a fun job.
I think you'd have a lot of fun no matter what job you took if there was a change in leadership. Final thoughts also on Steve Bannon. 4 months as he's obviously right before an election, just like Peter Navarro, that if you're in contempt of Congress, it's okay if you're some people, but not if you are a Trump advisor.
We've had constitutional executive privilege for 250 years, going back to George Washington, to ensure that presidents can get candid and confidential advice from their aides, whether in the White House or outside of the White House, and they don't get hauled before courts or Congress, right? If you lose constitutional executive privilege, the president's going to be isolated. You're going to destroy the presidency, and therefore we're going to destroy the country. And we're going to put Peter Navarro and Bannon in jail.
Joe Biden, by the way, I just want to show Joe Biden is exiting Air Force One here. He has just arrived at Orly Airport, that's just outside of Paris, after spending yesterday at ceremonies in Normandy there. He has exited smoothly down the stairs there, entering the motorcade as well, where he will be heading back to the stateside and heading back to the criminal trial of his son. We're just about out of time, but as we look at that picture, one last thing, and I know we're almost out of time here, but there's a breaking story. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has filed a financial disclosure talking about reports that he did trips with Harlan Crow. They are dragging the Supreme Court, which I know you worked for Neil Gorsuch. They are trying to go after Clarence Thomas for these things. They're trying to create these stories just to distract from the other issues that are truly happening. How much does that bother you as someone who knows the Supreme Court so well?
I've been fighting ferociously for these conservative justices for many years. Clarence Thomas is a good man. He's been best friends with Harlan Crow for over 25 years. Harlan Crow has zero business before the courts. Zero. There's nothing that Clarence Thomas can do for Harlan Crow as a Supreme Court justice because he has no business. These same people going after Clarence Thomas because they hate his viewpoint are pretty silent with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every scumball Biden that's took over $20 million from our worst enemies.
Yeah, crickets. And it's okay to have rich friends if you are in Nantucket on Thanksgiving like the Bidens do every year. Mike Davis, got to leave it there. Good to have you this Friday. Come back real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.